the co-founder of Sieve. Sieve is basically a SaaS platform, an FMCG platform which connects the manufacturers and the retailers to the end consumers. So yeah, I wouldn't go deep into it. So we have two lovely ladies here, Kalki and Janaki, Padmini Janaki. So shall I call you Padmini? Yeah. Okay, so would you like to say more about?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's great to be in Kerala. I'm coming from Chennai and founder and CEO at Mind and Mom, where we predominantly work with women health. And from menarche till menopause, how can we help women? And we focus a little more in fertility and motherhood. We've been there for 3 years and we've helped more than 3 lakh women in their journey of motherhood. And yeah, I think it's great to be with 2 other amazing women here. Thanks.
Thank you. Over to you, Kalki.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kalki Subramaniam. I am an activist working for the transgender community of India. I'm also an artist and a writer, author of 3 books, and I'm also an actor, acted in 3 movies only, 2 lead roles.
Which movies are they?
In Tamil, I did a film called Nartaki. It's a very beautiful film. And I acted in a Vijay film called Sarkar. I come as Kalki.
Okay.
And I also did a Hindi movie, which is a festival movie. It's called The Lonely Wolf. It's not yet out. It has been in struggle for a very long time. But it's a very lovely film. The story between a terrorist and a transgender woman. So very interesting. Apart from that, I am a corporate speaker. I train at different corporations around the world, Fortune 500 companies, on inclusion, inclusive leadership, and diversity, equity, inclusion in the office. I train on being more inclusive, on how you can, be inclusive of the LGBTQI community, and how inclusion really creates tremendous growth in a company. So a lot of work I do. And I run an organization called Sahodari Foundation, which works for the social, political, economic empowerment of the underprivileged transgender community. And I have worked with the Supreme Court judiciary in legalizing the transgender people. So the 2014 verdict of the Supreme Court, which legalizes transgender people, I've done a lot of work on that as well.
Great. So Janaki, like on the corporate side, sorry, Kalki. Yeah. On the corporate side, like, okay. Do you have any laws, which mandate that you have to, include certain number of
transgender
people? Do we have anything like that as of now?
No, we actually don't have any such laws which says it's mandatory to include trans people in employment in a company or an organization. But we do have the Transgender Protection Act that extensively says that when a trans person is employed in a company, organization, or an institution, they should not be discriminated on the basis of their gender identity. Okay. We do have. Mm-hmm. The Transgender Protection Act of 2019 is all about protecting the transgender community from exploitation, from discrimination, from rejection and all that. Apart from that, recently, this year in February, the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, the center, released a policy, equal opportunities policy, so for transgender people. So that policy also emphasizes on the need for getting more jobs, including more transgender people in corporates, as well as making sure that they are treated equally in every aspect, right from the boardroom to the bathroom, everywhere they should be treated equal, and there should be equal pay, and there should not be discrimination. I think these are some of the recent revolutionary steps taken by the government. But is it mandatory to include a transgender person in a corporation? No, that is not yet in India.
Okay.
I don't think in anywhere in the world it's mandatory, of course.
Okay.
But it will be nice if it is.
It would be good if we
Very
if we
good,
have.
yes.
Um,
Because transgender people are one of the most marginalized, underrated, voiceless, marginalized, oppressed, discriminated, stigmatized community among everybody, among the entire minority communities. Because we are very susceptible to violence. Our own family disowns us. Our own family, biological family, disowns us, and we are left on the streets. Majority of us are begging and doing sex work, and are very susceptible, very victims of trafficking and begging and all that. That's why it's so important and urgent to give more opportunities for transgender people in our country.
exactly. But they are extremely talented too, I would say. There are many of them.
Absolutely. Many of them are given an opportunity. Our community can excel as educators, as entrepreneurs, professionals, anything. But the only problem is we have this stereotypes on gender. A man should behave like this, a woman is this. The transition between a man to a woman or a woman to a man is seen as a very inferior thing in a patriarchal culture, in a country which is like ours, which is very patriarchal. The gender journey between a man to a woman or a woman to a man, the transition between a man to a woman is seen, very controversial. And I think this came only after the arrival of the British, their colonial system, patriarchy, and all that. But before the arrival of the British, the transgender people have always had a very good place to a certain extent in India. Absolutely. And when you look at the libraries, in the library records of the British Library, the records of the British Library, it says how much they were afraid of transgender people and how much they hated trans people, then called as eunuchs. They called eunuchs as nuisance, public nuisance. Mm-hmm. And they wanted eunuchs to be wiped away. So it was the British who actually have been the reason for today how many trans people, almost everybody is into sex work and begging. And I would say colonial rule was also one of the reasons for this kind of an oppression. For homophobia, for transphobia, for a lot of things. Yeah.
Exactly. Another question that I had in mind was how do you sustain the foundation? Like, do you get funds from the government?
Yes. No, we don't get funds from the government. For our community, for the Sahodari Foundation, our work majorly depends on private donors, like people who really wanted to support individuals, come forward. For example, today, a person called Abhinaya, I can even tell her name because it's a positive thing. It was her husband's birthday and she wanted to support a transgender person's education, and she asked me, what do you need, Akka? Tell me. And there was this girl called Rakshita who is a law student. She needs a laptop. So I told her, this girl needs a laptop. Abhinaya wanted to give a laptop. So on the December 5, which is her husband's birthday, she will gift a laptop to our girl. So individuals, it's all, people who support transgender persons. And they are the same people who support the Sahodari Foundation as well. Our organization is not a, major, big NGO or anything. But we have done some very groundbreaking work when it comes to transgender people's rights in a legal system, in the medical fraternity, in wiping away the stereotypes in movies. You know how the Malayalam films, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada films and Hindi movies portray transgender people in a very comic way,
Exactly.
As that we are sexual perverts and we don't have, brain, and we are there to do crimes and dance around heroes and heroines and all that.
There are good ones as well.
Recently only.
Recently,
Look at the
exactly,
films in
yeah.
the 80s and the 90s. And I still remember I went with my parents to a film in the 90s. Also in the 20s, it's called Vetayada Vilayada, I think so, with the Kamal Hassan film. Gautam Menon, Vasudev Menon was the director. Just the first scene was horrible, you know. A trans woman is molesting two jailmates. And my heart broke. My heart totally broke. Because he's not a third-rate director. He's considered one of the most intelligent person. And many people, as such in the film industry, who are super creative, have done injustice to our community. There was one person who really has done good for our community, and that's Mani Ratnam.
Okay.
So his movie Bombay had a transgender character, which was very human and very realistic. And also in his couple of movies, also he portrayed transgender people, like not overhyped, not down, but in a very subtle, realistic way. And I think I really would respect him. Suhasini Maniratnam is a friend of mine. I always praise her, tell her that thanks to Mani sir for this. Yeah.
I remember there's the moment I heard Sahodari Foundations, the first thing that came to my mind was there's a movie called Super Deluxe, I guess, where Vijay Sethupathi had portrayed
a trans character.
Transgender, yeah, and
Yes.
it's actually focused so much on the emotions that he goes through, and it was very well portrayed.
Yeah, but then, you know, it was good for an actor like Vijay Sethupathi. It was a big challenge role, but that's not inclusion, I say. Inclusion is when in the film world you actually give a transgender character to a transgender actor, not to a male actor or a female actor. Because there are out here in the transgender world, there are a number of artists who really are good in acting, who really deserve, deserve a role, an opportunity. But then considering Vijay Sethupathi is a star, for commercial purpose, they might have used him. He is a very challenging actor as well. He's versatile. So he's also supportive to the trans community. So he took up that role, and I did, I think so. But I feel that when it comes to diversity, when it's come to anywhere in the corporate or in the film world or anywhere, if you are in a position of making decisions, of creating something innovative, such as a film, or starting up a company, or creating a product that is liked by so many people, you need to make sure that your organization, your team is diverse. That is in the sense that you need to give opportunities for the oppressed, marginalized community. For example, the LGBTQI transgender community. Because according to our research, it's all only inclusive leadership sustains. A leader who is more inclusive, like for example, I know in Sakti Masala in Tamil Nadu, where I come from, it's one of the most popular masala brands, Sakti Masala is. And all their employees, most of them are all disabled people, women especially. They give opportunities for them. And it's a very successful brand. So they are breaking a lot of stereotypes. Same way, if transgender people are given opportunities in corporates, in educational institutions, in movies and everywhere, it would create a change, you know. We will break the stereotypes that we are beggars and sex workers. And today I see that in the entire campus of Huddle Global, I'm the only transgender woman. I'm the only transgender person. There's nobody here. No startups from the trans community, nothing. But I want that to happen in a few years. It should be happening. And that can happen only when, you know, corporates, leaders, government, everyone, industries, start to hire trans people, give them positions, leadership positions as well. In the team, give a place in the team, recognize their academic skills, recognize their talent, and give an opportunity. we need to look trans people, beyond gender identity.
Exactly.
But we are mostly sticking, if a woman is there and she is very talented, it's, you know how difficult it is for women to get into the top positions like
Exactly.
CEO and all
Yes.
that, in any company, any team. And for trans people, it's a tremendous challenge. It's almost impossible. But I think it is time, and it's a calling for all corporates to actually give opportunities for trans people, because that is truly inclusive leadership. That is looking beyond someone's gender identity, someone's sexual orientation, and looking into their talent and respecting them as a human being rather than a transgender or a gay.
Exactly. I think things are changing recently. Like even like we see more transgender people, especially in the fashion industry. Many like good names we see.
Yeah.
So I think things are changing. So let's hope that things would improve.
I certainly do believe that.
So
Yes.
thank you, Kalki.
You're welcome.
So moving on to Padmini.
Yes.
How I see that you have come from a tech background, and now you are onto a platform which is more related to the health and which focuses on women, the mind and mom, right? So could you how come you ended up here? Like why was there any specific reason why you chose this area?
Thank you, Simi. I think technology has been my starting point, because like any other South Indian, joining a software company, working there for 10 years and seeing how it works and how technology could probably scale and sustain the industry. From there, it was a very natural transitioning for me. Of course, with tech, a lot of ideas could have come because I come from PayPal, I come from a payment background. That could have been a very natural transition because I am a woman and I wanted to do something in the healthcare. This also started with my whole idea of, I was born and brought up in Chennai, where I've seen different types of women, including my mother, where women do not care too much about their health. I think a lot of us will agree that if a father is unwell, like the entire family's main topic is the father being unwell. But then if the mother is unwell, like she's still cooking, she's still making the house operational. And that's how we look at our
audience also agree to this point.
Yeah, so I think that's how we look at our health and be it pregnancy, like let's take pregnancy for that matter. Like this is like a checklist for a lot of women in India still where, you got to get married in a certain age, you got to have a child in a certain age and finish these things. And so many things involves women's health and how much are we so aware about it is one question. You go to any tier 2, tier 3 city in India and then ask a woman if she knows fairness cream, I'm sure 90% people would have used it. But you go to the same tier 2, tier 3 city and ask the woman if she had taken a full body checkup last year, or forget about full body checkup, HPV vaccine, or forget about HPV vaccine, even a sanitary napkin, I'm sure a lot of people have not experienced or seen the importance of it because for some reason we've been always told about looks, about how we present ourselves and how do we represent ourselves as a family, but very less about you should take care of your health. You should eat well. You should exercise. Why cardio is important. Why building muscles are important. So I felt the red alert of why women's health needs to be spoken in an outward way with the help of technology. Because if I'm going to join an NGO or if I'm going to start something of my own, of course there are ways to do it, but then I felt I should do it globally. I should do it for more number of women, not just 1,000, not just lakhs. It should be more and more, adding up more and more, and it's self-sustained by itself. So that's why we came up with a technology background for women. And so far it's a 3-year-old company and we've helped 3 lakh women in India.
That's great. That's a good
Yes,
number.
and in their journey of women health, starting from menopause, and even in fertility, I think there are quite a lot of things in healthcare is not transparent enough. It's not trustworthy enough. As a patient, if I look at it, not from a healthcare background, but as a patient, if I look at it, I have no idea what the doctor is telling me with the tests and how do I look at my reports. So I am making it more household and I'm making it more accessible for women. And as a company, we are trying to access more and more women. So now my passion, or I would call it as an ikigai, where women empowerment, because when it comes to women empowerment, I think you can empower women in multiple ways. Financial empowerment and lifestyle empowerment. Everything is important. Like even to add with what Kalki was saying, right? Quite a lot of ways to empower. But then I felt it's a personal thought process is that if you empower their health, I think everything else is taken care. If you're healthy,
Everything
you
else
can
would fall in
go,
line.
you can drive your own car, and then, I'm sure you can go figure out the world. If you can't do that when you're like not well and, you're sitting with the basic PCOD till, cervical cancer and breast cancer, I think nothing else can be achieved. When health is gone, everything is gone.
Exactly.
So technology plus women health, that's how it was a very natural transition to answer your question.
Okay, that's great. So, and this has been for three years, right?
Yes, it's been 3 years. So when we started as a technology background. Like as an app, women can download, track their periods and track their pregnancy, fertility, know when are they ovulating. But today, after 3 years, we've come to a space where we have our own chain of women health centers and we do a lot of
physical
AI
centers.
work. Yes, a lot of
Okay.
AI work in making it more smart as well.
Okay, and where are they?
So we are predominantly in Chennai right now.
Okay.
But the idea is to grow a little more in Coimbatore and little more in south of India.
So seem like how do you sustain, like how is the funds part of it?
Yeah. So I think I think your question is how different are we, or
No, like how do you manage about the sustainability, like
Funding,
do you get
okay.
funds?
okay, we are a funded company. So of course, like any other company, we started as a bootstrapped company, and right now we are funded by HNIs and funds, VC funds as well, mini VCs funds as well, and we've been always very profit first company, focusing on the profits, focusing on the bottom line, and funding is not been that much of a big requirement all the time, but over time we are planning to raise it to expand all across India as well.
Okay. So do you have, I think you have the IVF treatments and all that included, right? So would you explain more about it? Like to what extent do you cover that?
Right. Most of your questions, I'm just putting it together and assuming this is the question I'm answering. All right. So I think to answer your question, on IVF is one of the services we do, and egg freezing is one of the services we do. So we are introducing services for women which are not mostly under insurance. Like for example, IVF is not under insurance. And we want to make it as a women first choice. And we want women to choose whether she wants to have a child. We want women to choose when she likes to have the child. And that's how we're making it available, accessible for women, and making it more smarter because 70% of the hospital resources in India are underutilized. Like every operation theater you take and anything that you have in the bigger hospitals are underutilized. So we're making it more affordable by not really creating that, reinventing the whole wheel, but using that with our smart clinics. Like let's say somebody come for an IVF treatment or egg freezing. Let's say in a general place it's going to cost some 3 lakh. We would charge probably only 60% of it because we do not have an operation theater. We hire an operation theater just for a day. And all other services, 80-90% of the services are going to happen in our own centers. It's just called Life Women Health, which is part of Mind and Mom. And it's making even more it's bringing in a lot of affordable and a very sustainable model for women to choose, especially when it is an out-of-pocket expense.
Okay, great. Were there any challenges that you had faced during your initial days? Because this would be something new, right? Because generally, you straight away go to the doctor and the general route that everyone takes. So you had any challenges getting this onto, for people to know about this and to use an app for things like this?
Of course, yeah. Like any other startup for that matter, of course, Mind and Mom had its own fair of challenges, because the first challenge obviously comes from the investors. Like for you to build it big, you need to go talk to the investors. And a lot of investors, of course, 90% of the investors I met were men. And then they were like, do we really need an app for this? My mom had like 4 children, and do we need an app for it? Or the hospitals is been there and then, running it so well, why would you want to do it in a different way? And of course, convincing them without a proper number was a challenge. And then when it is a startup, it's not just the investor who is investing, it is also the people who are joining you are investing in you, because they're investing their career in you. There are quite a lot of startups who are ready to pay a hell of a lot of money, but why would they join Mind and Mom? Why would they work with Mind and Mom and consider, okay, one fine day my ESOPs is going to mean something, and why would they join in? So those were the challenges till we found our product market fit, and then slowly the challenges become a different level of challenges. But even today, even after 3 years, even after 3 lakh women in the platform, we do have challenges, but the challenges always gets upgraded. And whatever the challenges I had 1 year back, now sounds like, oh, for that I was like, breaking my head. Now I do it like my second nature. But then now the challenges, whatever I have, is like a new upgraded one, season 3, season 4. And once I fix, probably next year's down the lane, I'll find these things so silly, I know. But yeah, it's just part of it, and that's what makes the entrepreneurship even more interesting.
Okay. So what is the most common thing that you get among, like, is it, you just focus on the fertility part, not just the fertility part, right? It's other, anything to do with the mind wellness and all that?
So we do have an ecosystem that includes mental health as well, along with healthcare. And one of the most common problem that women come with these days, out of 10, I mean, the way we approach people is also more on the corporate level, where we go to corporate companies and become their women health partner with our AI technology, with our technology. We help the women take a complete blood test and get an AI report, knowing it's like a report card for the women to know, okay, do I have a vitamin D problem? Do I have a hepatitis problem? Do I have this, that, and all that together, like 90 plus tests with the help of AI, and the woman knows exactly what she's going through, because we just normalize a lot of things. We talk about period leave. I'm sure period leave has been becoming such a big deal in the last 2-3 years, and everybody's talking about period leave. But asking for a period leave is totally their choice, and giving is also totally their choice. But my question is, why are we getting so much pain that it requires a leave? Why don't you go take care of your health? Of course, as a byproduct, you can ask for period leave, but why don't you take care of your health as well, where, it is better for you? So those are the kind of awareness that we would like to bring in for women. And to come back and answer your question, PCOD and PCOS are one of the most common issues that we see in women. Out of 10 women who are in the OP, at least 6 to 7 are having some levels of PCOD issues. Thanks to our lifestyle, thanks to the kind of food that we consume, and sedentary lifestyle, not much on workout. So many reasons to say, but this is like the most common. And I find irregular periods with corporate women, especially for working women, because we work predominantly with working women, is that irregular periods. I think if you just go fix the irregular periods, or at least try to find the root cause of irregular periods, I think you will unlock other problems that you may have, and you can fix it as early as possible. So you don't have to like wait till 30 to find out that you have fertility issues or other issues.
So do you conduct any kind of awareness programs and all in corporates,
Yes.
schools? Okay.
So that's what we extensively do, where we've worked with Swiggy, we've worked with PayPal, we've worked with even very, very small companies like 50 plus employees, till 7,000, 10,000 employees, where we want women to know what is she going through and know their health. So quite a lot of doctor talks. We do have a session called Undoctor, where we bring in doctor and these working women as well, where you can just go talk to them like, not like how you talk to the doctor, but like your friend saying that, you know what, I have this issue, this might be because of this. Or I'm 30 years old, I have not found my partner. Can I think about egg freezing? Is that even affordable? So these kind of conversations with the doctors in corporate sector, in the corporate setup, where it's very, very non-judgy. And nobody is like going to be judging you, thinking that, hey, you're 30 and still not married. Why? So nobody is like judging you at that space. So that's the kind of safe space we would like to give from Mind and Mom for the women in corporate. And the beautiful thing is the corporate companies are also super interested in initiatives like this. There's no one corporate company who said no when we went and tried to be their women health partner, though it involves cost, though it's just part of D&I, usually where the funding is much lower. I think companies been very, very open about it and very, very okay about doing this. And in fact, you know, our schedules are always full and our doctors' times are usually full when it comes to corporate talks, because companies, they want their women to know what they're going through, and even more objective about not yet another women health program, not yet another talk. They want more objective output, relevant initiatives like what we're doing. So I think it's been a great change in the industry as well.
Besides our Sahodari Foundation, we have actually started a very beautiful, innovative venture, and it's called Kalki Apparel. It's one of my dream projects where we have a fashion unit. Since I'm also an artist, I print my art on fabrics and also create art on sustainable fabrics. We do a lot of upcycling as well with the fabrics. And we create fashionable garments like saris, kaftans, as well as shrugs. So with this, we employ transgender people as well as destitute cisgender women for creating these beautiful outfits. So we have a website called kals.in, KALS.in. Ours is a very small venture as well. We do a lot of production of our garments, but you know, funding, of course, since ours is a very small startup recently, and marketing, funding, and all that is just started. But I think it's one of the first fashion labels. Kals is one of the first fashion labels in India, which is transgender-owned, transgender-led startup company. Yeah, that is one thing that I wanted to share. And recently we have done, we also participated in the Bangalore Fashion Week, which was a success, and then in Delhi Runway Fashion Week. And recently I was invited to Amsterdam, and I was honored as well. But we had a fashion show in Amsterdam with our with all the garments created by our trans women and village women. Those outfits were actually worn by models and queer people in Amsterdam, and we had a very beautiful ram show. So we are going places on the one side, but we also need mentorship. We also need support from the government and the industries because it's a trans-run organization. And I don't want it to, be a failure. I want it to be super successful And yeah, I wanted to be super successful. And just now 6 people are working. Next, I wanted 20 people to work and then 60 people to work. And we can also do, give orders for trans people. That we have disabled trans people also. I also want to talk about that. Being a transgender itself is a discrimination, of course. Being a disabled person and a transgender is double discrimination. So these people can sit at home and they can work. They can do the sewing and artistry on the fabrics, and they do amazing RE work and all that. So these things we wanted to promote. Right now we have an Instagram account and a website. But besides that, we need a lot of support, marketing and all that. So that is also one of the reasons I came to startup, Kerala Startup Mission.
I guess there are quite a few new things which are coming up on this fashion side,
Yes.
as aggregators and all.
Yes.
I think there were a couple of them which were shared in the open pitch session yesterday. So probably you should check them out.
Okay, what was that?
I'll need to check them, but
Okay.
there are some of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you
they
for
did.
that. So this is one of the initiatives in the country which is run by transgender business. It's a transgender run business. And, as a minority community, as one of the most oppressed community, we deserve opportunities and we deserve public support in a big way. Besides just buying the products, I think what is so essential is when a transgender person comes out openly and starts a business or even a petty shop or a roadside vending vegetables or something like that, it's important for all of us to support, not discriminate. I know that many transgender people started to work, for example, even in the Kochi Metro. Kochi Metro, 12 transgender people were given opportunities to work. But then, because of the discrimination with other employees of Kochi Metro and the lack of infrastructure for them to stay and all that, it was a failure. So some beautiful ventures like this, which get massive support, become failure because of lack of empathy, lack of understanding, and lack of vision. And that, we have to be very aware of that in any venture. And especially when you're dealing with an underprivileged community.
I'm sure it's going to change. Yes, it will definitely change, especially in this era. So let's hope for the best.
I hope so.
Thank you so much for the powerful session. We are incredibly grateful for the knowledge, wisdom, and energy you have shared with us.